welcoming you, Gooshbagz, to another week number 4 of the 2020 Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League podcast. I am your host, the commissioner of the Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League, and, of course, the reigning champ, as you can see by my trophy here, and my shirt. It will last. It will last forever. It's going to be a great week because I have Rayo on with me today. Rayo, how are you doing?
I am doing well. I would be doing better if I beat you this week, but I didn't. But I overall doing well.
That's good.
Thought just occurred to me. I have to wonder, does the shirt self-destruct if you don't win again?
No, it's dated. So it's dated 2019
it's dated
at the
2019.
bottom. Yeah,
okay,
so
all right.
It does. Yeah, it does. It's a 1-year thing. I'll have to get another one with my
winnings.
winnings.
Potency. Yeah. All right.
I'll have to get another one with my winnings again this season. So I'm just gonna have a closet full of championship T-shirts.
You're really optimistic about this week.
Along with the line of feast mode that's gonna be down the side of the trophy.
Except for the one on top.
Except for the one that's the scary Terry. So you're right. Yep. So, speaking of this crazy year and this 2020 season that I'm going to win, we have some big news in the way of COVID, which I did not put on the show doc, so you didn't see this. I added this after I sent it to you. The Titans are having a really tough time with COVID. I think they have a total of 19 people that have tested positive for COVID.
That's insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously football is probably the least ideal sport to play in this situation, but I guess we'll see what happens. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping they just put a delay on the season because that'll make it way easier to manage this from a fantasy perspective. Otherwise, which teams are having an extra bye this week?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of the problem. Is that the Titans? So they missed last week. They made it their bye week, and now since they had 2 more positive tests today, their week 5 matchup with the Bills is potentially going to be delayed, or they're not sure. I think somebody was rumbling in the bushes that it might be just a forfeit for the Titans. But also something came out. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but something came out saying that the Titans practiced last week. Even though they weren't supposed to, they were on lockdown because of COVID, and they had a practice. So I think there are some big fines coming the Titans' way, and if that's true, then that might be something where they might be forced to forfeit this week because they, perpetuated the COVID.
Yeah, I think, man, that would suck for the Titans. But I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? If you're not following the guidelines that are pretty clearly set out, I think, that you can, and you fall victim to this, and you've done this to yourself, right? It's the Eric Andre meme, right? Why have you done this? Yeah, exactly.
Right. Why have you done this?
Why have you done this? But it figures, right? What happens is more and more teams continue to have a similar issues. I mean, I guess we'll see what the NFL does, but it'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so Stephon Gilmore of the Patriots also tested positive today for COVID, and I don't know if you saw, but so they played on Monday against the Chiefs,
right?
And I don't know if you saw, but there was a picture or a video after the game of Stephon Gilmore and Pat Mahomes doing a bro hug. And their faces are right next to each other. And I'm very concerned that this might lead into a Mahomes COVID case.
That would be quite unfortunate to have happen. Yeah, I don't know what the right solution is, unfortunately. Football is hard. I mean, there's a lot of players compared to other sports,
Right.
Having a 53-man roster plus all the support staff.
That's a lot of people.
I think we talked about it. I don't remember if I think it was in our chat. We talked about just doing a bubble in somewhere.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, we mentioned that.
Yeah, I think it would be delightful if it was in Green Bay. Just as you run through winter, just you have to play it during the week then, or at least someone does. You end up with snow games left and right. It could be wonderful. Everyone knows snow football.
Yeah, right. We were talking about that. in another league chat, I was talking about that today because we were talking about the new COVID cases and everything, and they were saying that like, as cool as it would be to have it at like a historic place, and Green Bay, well, number one, Wisconsin is the worst state for COVID right now.
Yeah.
But as cool as it would be to have it at like a historic stadium like Green Bay, like they were saying, if they were to do a bubble, they would have to do it somewhere where they have a turf field, because a regular field won't be able to stand up to 16 games a week.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Point.
Yeah. So that's something that they mentioned.
You kind of figure they probably do multiple bubbles, right? I mean, I don't
in think different regions. Yeah, they could do indoor fields in different regions essentially.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't think with 16 games a week that would be really difficult to do in one stadium. You could do something. I guess this is just me spitballing here. You could do something in probably Southern California where you have just a ton of stadiums in a relatively close area and deal with it that way. But who knows? As we'll see. I'm sure there are smarter people than us working on this. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be harder than like, I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't. I really don't know how big these or how these teams are run and how the organizations are run, and how similar it is to like an NBA or NHL who did do the bubble. I don't know if just because of the scale of how many players are on a team and staff are involved, if that would be impossible to do a bubble or not. But it would be difficult. But and it's also like 4 months of the year, which is pretty insane.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
If you got to do what you got to do if you want to play football, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm sure the season will go on in some fashion of some sort. The owners aren't going to let it stop. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, they got to make money somehow.
Oh yeah, because they definitely need more.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Should be interesting. How it goes. Yep. But other injuries that happened this week that are non-COVID related, we have some pretty big ones and more running backs, unfortunately. So running backs are becoming like gold in the leagues this year. So Nick Chubb is out. He has an MCL. I don't know if it was a tear or a sprain. I think it's maybe a tear, but I don't know exactly what it is, but he's out for 6 weeks at least.
Yeah, he didn't look great coming off the field. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, it looked bad. So, and then Austin Eckler looked the same way. Like I don't know if you saw that play, but he pulled up like halfway through a run and he like hopped a couple extra yards, and then like
that's when he bad.
And then when he got tackled, his like knee hyperextended, and like so he has a combination of like maybe just the fact that there's a hamstring injury happened because of the hyperextended knee. Maybe it pulled too tight as the knee was hyper. I don't know, whatever. But they were saying 4 to 6 weeks as well for Austin Eckler. So that really sucks. Number one for the players, but number two for Brandon, because he has both of those players. Those are his two running backs.
When we drafted, we all said we didn't want Brandon's team. We were just right. That's all.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, we knew that 4 weeks into the season, both of them were going to get hurt.
It was just a feeling, that's all.
Exactly. So I'm sorry, Brandon, but not really. That's kind of how fantasy goes. So good luck with the rest of the season. Maybe you can make some trades or something for players now that could get you some wins now. So we'll see how it goes. In other injury news, we have O.J. Howard, who has a torn Achilles and is out for the year. I don't think anybody has him, but he was kind of in the way of Gronk and Cameron Brate over in Tampa Bay. So with O.J. Howard out, we'll see if Gronk ends up getting a little bit more work and becomes more relevant. I don't know if he will, but he seems to be the blocking tight end in this team. That's kind of what he's resigned himself to. And then Julio Jones seemed to re-injure his hamstring during this week. I'm not quite sure if that's going to hold him out, but yeah, apparently I didn't see this. I didn't see what happened, but I think he limped off the field in the middle of the game. I was watching this game too. It was against Packers. I don't remember seeing anything specifically that happened, but um, yeah, I don't know. They're saying that he potentially could miss a week or two going forward. And then Devontae Adams was out again this week,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a possibility that he said he was good to go. He was okay. But I guess
It was
it was probably because we're gonna beat down the Falcons, so we're gonna hold you out for one extra week.
yeah. I mean, we all know the Falcons are going to shoot themselves in the foot, so that's probably a business decision by the Packers. It was certainly an interesting tweet that Devontae Adams put out there.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't really know where he was going with that. Like it felt like half of it was, yeah, I guess the doctors are saying I shouldn't play, and that's fine. And then the end was, no, but that's not fine. And it's just all over the place.
I think he was pissed off when he found out that he wasn't going to play this week, and so it was kind of a anger tweet.
That's possible. Yeah, that would make sense.
And that's why he pulled it back down too.
I didn't know
he erased it. Yeah. But in other Packers news, did you watch Pat McAfee show?
I used to. I haven't this year.
So I haven't much either, but this caught my eye, and it's been floating around the internet all day today. Okay. Yesterday, Aaron Rodgers has a weekly segment on the Pat McAfee show, and this week they were asking him about how about your, people have been saying that you've had a few down years recently, and people are saying you're washed up, and they'd rather have Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback for the next 10 years than Aaron Rodgers. He was basically like, well, I always find it funny when people say that about me because my down years are like career years for other quarterbacks. I was like, oh,
he's not wrong. I mean, honestly, the hot takes on some of the actually elite quarterbacks in the league are just insane. It's like these guys are obviously great. Why would I want someone else?
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, the thing is, just because he wasn't playing as well as he previously did doesn't mean he's still not a great quarterback, Yeah. So he was doing what he needed to last year to manage the team and get wins. They went 13-3 last year, so he was doing what he needed to win the game. So I don't know. Anyway, onwards to more fantasy relevant news. The top scorer in the league this week, I won another $10, aka I kept the $10 and I didn't have to give it out because I have all of your money.
We need to do something about this. This is an issue. I don't like these 2 weeks. What I do know is that I am still the highest scorer in the league, so I'm happy about that. But
that's true. You had a good first couple weeks there.
I had a really good first 3 weeks. We're all good weeks. Yeah. So we'll keep that up and beat you in the long run. So
Well, if I keep this streak up in no time, I'm going to be the top scorer in the league. So
nah.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
It seems to happen every year. I seem to get some pretty high scores every single year. That doesn't always pan out in the playoffs, but I think it's going to continue this year.
All right. Jason.
So I had 136.7 fantasy points, and that will lead right into our first matchup of the week. It was me and you, Rayo. Beast Mode versus Good Juju. And I was terrified. I tell you what, midway through, the 4:00 games on Sunday, I was like, oh man, Rayo's team is off to a hot start. You had some good numbers up there in the first games and the first 2 games, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to catch up. But George Kittle,
man, that was I was in the same boat coming off of I was not as confident as you would think I might be coming out of those early games, but I was looking and I was like, all right, I think I can hold this. Because I think all of my players were done by the end of the late slot.
I think so.
So I had my 119 points, and I was like, this isn't great, but it's possible. And then I look again that night after the night game, and I see George Kittle, 32 points.
Yeah.
Well, never mind. We're done. Cool.
Yeah.
Because we still had 2 players left or something like that going on into Monday, and I was like, that sucks.
Yeah, going into the Sunday night game, I think I was down by 30 points or something. Well, it was 89 to 119.
You were down by 33.5 I think must have been 33.4 because you were 0.8 of a point behind me coming out of Sunday night.
That's right.
Yeah, I saw that, and I remember because I didn't actually watch that Sunday night game, so I just went back to look
I didn't either.
At night, and I was expecting, I don't know, 100 points on your side or something, and to be nervous going into Monday and be like, maybe. And then I see 119 under Peaceful. I'm like, what happened? How did this isn't supposed to happen?
George Kittle happened.
It's useless. I hate it.
So, yeah, I ended up with 136.7 points to Rayo's 119.92 points. So, yeah, like you said, we had George Kittle leading the way here with 32.6 points. He came back off of his injury with a monster game, and I am so looking forward to him going forward and being the only pass catcher in the 49ers offense that is worth anything. We had Dalvin Cook putting up another beastly game with 27.6 points. He's been fantastic and everything I've wanted in my keeper this year. Mm-hmm. And I had Ryan Fitz come through barely. He barely came through with 21.3 points. He was awful for like that whole game. And then he scored a rushing touchdown like at the very end of the game. I was like, thank God. He would have had like 15 points.
Rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks are so OP. It's something. Right? Yeah, because I mean it's 6 points plus maybe plus half another point yards. Or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why Cam Newton's been great this year until he got COVID. Yeah. So I needed a replacement, and I got somebody with a rushing touchdown, so that was good.
Yes, that's the expectation with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
From Ryan Fitzpatrick, yeah,
absolutely. You bet. That's what I expect every week.
So my only dud that didn't quite perform up to expectations was Robert Woods. He only had 6.7 fantasy points. But otherwise, I didn't really have too many people with a bad game. That's why I scored 136 points. So it worked out this week. Onto your team. You had some great weeks too. You had Kyler Murray with 23.12 points. That's about his average. That's kind of what I assume from Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Kyler Murray's on average been doing really well. I'm really happy with that at a quarterback spot, and having him throw to DeAndre Hopkins. It didn't work out this week, but it's been a really nice combination for the season. That's good. Usually it's not a combination I've had before, obviously.
Stack.
Yeah, the stack isn't something I usually go for, but I've gone for it in both my leagues this year, and I'm really enjoying it. I didn't go for Kyler Murray in my other league, but it was a different stack there. But we're not going to talk about that because then Neil will get mad. Yeah.
No, the stacks work out when you can find like those. So like Kyler Murray, you were able to get. I think. No, you didn't keep him, right? You picked him up in like the 5th round or something. Yeah, so somebody you can pick up.
Mid-round pick. Yep.
Yeah, someone you can pick up like later who's going to be a high-powered quarterback and stack him with this number 1 wide receiver. Like that's usually a good recipe for success.
Yep.
So, but yeah, imagine if that team was actually like playing good.
Because
the Cardinals, like you expect them, like they have a pretty good offense. Like
they certainly do.
As far as they're like the Cleveland Browns of last year.
Bad. Yeah.
They're not that bad, but I mean they're not playing great. So maybe I think their offensive line is having some troubles. Kyler Murray's been having to scramble and whatnot, but
see, I think I'm more used to this situation than maybe you are as a Packers fan. For years and years, this has been my thought process. So
the Cowboys, yeah,
it's every year. Every goddamn
well,
year.
Their offense looks damn good this year.
It doesn't make a difference. Obviously.
You're right. Their defense can't stop anything.
Yeah, right. We'll talk about that later.
We will. Anyway, you have Alvin Kamara who put up 19.4 fantasy points, and that's like below average for him this year. So he probably should have been in the duds category this week.
If his floor is 19 points, I'm not.
Yeah, that is number 1 running back overall numbers for sure. And I am so mad that I did not. And I brought this up many times already. I can't believe I thought that Alvin Kamara was going to share the load a little bit more and not get the work, but
he's Alvin Kamara. What do you? Yeah. Even if he shares the load, he's still going to get a ton of carries and catches.
It's true. I should have not been an idiot. Then I would be dominating this league.
Well, you got to count on a little bit of idiocy from everyone. So
yeah, you know what? I needed to give you guys a chance. This make you think you were gonna win
okay.
before I beat all of you the rest of
Okay. All
the
right.
year.
All right.
Your third stud of this week was Mark Andrews with the 19.2 fantasy points, and he's been pretty solid so far this year.
Absolutely.
Lock and load definitely as a tight in that tight end position.
Mm-hmm.
There's only about 2 or 3 of them this year that you can really rely on. So it's good that you got him.
Yeah, he's been good. I think I don't remember if I had him this last year in this league, but I've had him. I had him last year in one of my leagues, and he's consistent and he's good, and that's what you look for, especially in a tight end position.
Yeah, if I remember, he picked it up pretty. He picked it up quite a bit at the end of the last season, the last 8 weeks or something. He was kind of a beast, and that's kind of what led into his draft stock this year. So you grabbed him, and he was worth it. You grabbed him early, probably 3rd or 4th round, maybe later.
I think it was a little bit later than that. I don't remember.
It was. Maybe he dropped in our league, but he's definitely probably 3rd or 4th tight end off the board. But your only dud this week was DeAndre Hopkins at 7.6 fantasy points. That's not what you're looking for your wide receiver 1, but it's not a bad week.
Yeah, for both of us, I think none of us had anyone that did particularly terribly this week. So I think I've determined what I need to do, though, to make sure I win out here. This was the first week I didn't start the Vikings defense, and I lost. So obviously I need to pick them back up and start them again. I mean, they took away 10 points in week 1, and I still had the highest scoring week. So I mean, I feel like I need them. So I might go and pick them up again.
They're your good luck charm. They help. Right? Like they're one of those they're stat boosting your team. They're stat boosting everything but defense. Defense they take a lot back, but you have a lot of offense.
Exactly.
So you just destroy everybody anyway.
I'm just making Dallas, but it doesn't matter in fantasy. So
exactly. Yeah. The only other kind of disappointment was Josh Jacobs. I think personally he didn't have a fantastic game, and he's been kind of mediocre except for week 1.
Yeah, he hasn't been perfect, but solid performances are what I expect. I don't want my team to be boom or bust.
Right.
I like having consistency here. So yeah, we'll hopefully he picks it back up, and we'll keeps rolling through the year. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, 19.4 is Alvin Kamara's worst the 4 weeks so far. So that's pretty good.
Can't complain.
That's pretty consistent. So
can't complain.
All right, we will move on to matchup number 2, which I have as Big Ben's Bathroom versus my tight end Ertz and Eifert. So Big Ben's Bathroom put up a big week. He was in contention for the highest score of the week this week. He had 133.48 fantasy points to my tight end Ertz and Eifert's 83.9. That's a big fall from last week. I think he had a pretty good week last week, but his team had some ups and downs. So we'll go into my tight end Ertz first. He had Chris Carson, who put up a great game at 23.5 fantasy points. And Chris Carson's been solid this year, and I love Chris Carson, and I'm mad that I didn't get him this year, but I think he was grabbed in the 3rd round, and I already have my 2nd and 3rd round picks already picked, so I wasn't able to grab him. And then Deshaun Watson put up 20.9 fantasy points. But the bigger news on my tight end Ertz and Eifert's, and the reason that he only had 83.9 fantasy points were the goose eggs from Calvin Ridley and Brandon Cooks. Now, Brandon Cooks, it's not really a surprise. He hasn't been great this year at all. So him not being involved in one game really doesn't surprise me. But Calvin Ridley, who's been a monster, I don't know. He was on the field the whole game. He didn't look great, but you'd think that he would have some sort of fantasy production, right?
Yeah, being a PPR league too. I mean, you'd expect at least half a point, right?
Right.
Reception here and there. I will say, since the rest of the league can't see your show doc, I really enjoy that Calvin Ridley has 0.0 points in your show doc, not just 0.
Yeah,
gotta emphasize.
I had to emphasize his goose egg. I only put 0 for Brandon Cooks, but 0.0 for Calvin Ridley.
I don't think I would have even noticed if you had 0.0 for both of
them. But yeah, on the other side of the ball here, though, Big Ben's bathroom. I mean, he's got some very good production out of his team this week. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he had Dak Prescott at the helm. I believe he's the quarterback 1 this year so far. Oh, quarterback 2. I lied. But he's been fantastic. This year? It might be Josh Allen, actually. Josh Allen, or Pat Mahomes, maybe. I'm not sure, actually.
You can keep talking about.
Yeah, you take a look.
I'll take a look.
You take a look. Dak Prescott put up 37.28 fantasy points in another blow-up game for the Cowboys offense. Pretty much everyone, you can play everyone on the Dallas's offense and you'll be happy, except for Michael Gallup. I think he hasn't been so great recently, but the whole rest of the offense has just been amazing. And they're clicking on all cylinders. Oh, I'm sorry. My allergies are getting to me.
Don't die, Jason.
I'll try not to.
Good.
All right. Melvin Gordon had 24.8 fantasy points. He had a great week against the Jets. The Jets are not good. So Melvin Gordon had a fantastic game. I don't know if I'd look for this production going forward because I think Phillip Lindsay is supposed to be back. So he might be splitting a little bit more touches with Phillip Lindsay. Maybe not get all the opportunities that he just got. Do you have an answer for me, Rayo?
Yeah, I feel like we're both gonna feel really dumb about this. Russell Wilson, of course, is the highest producing fantasy quarterback. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, should have occurred.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson. It's just the standard with Russell Wilson.
So, yeah, at least this year, yeah. They're finally letting him throw, so he's actually getting fantasy points.
Yeah.
So. The third stud on Big Ben's bathroom I have is Allen Robinson with 19.6 fantasy points. So he had some pretty solid games from people, but no buts. He had some great games. The only dud he had was Evan Engram for 6.5 fantasy points, and getting 6.5 fantasy points from your tight end isn't so bad. So I would take that all day. On to matchup number 3. We have.
If you take 6.5 points from your tight end, you need to get a better tight end. I mean, come on, get yourself a Mark Andrews.
You're right. Get yourself a George Kittle. Damn it.
There you go.
6.5 points. That's
6.5 points.
Awful. Come on. Absolutely. Robert Tonyan had more points than him this week. Of course, Robert Tonyan had a great week, but maybe you should pick him up on the waiver wire.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, no problem. Matchup number 3 is last in Fab tiebreak again. That's Courts being super pissed off that he can't win anything in the Fab community here versus Mix and Mac. And this was a close one. This came down to the very last game of the week where MVS, although I have him in the duds category because he only had 6.5 fantasy points in a game where he was expected to be the wide receiver 1 for the Packers with Devontae Adams out and with Alan Lazard now out for a long time due to getting surgery. MVS was supposed to be the wide receiver 1, and he did nothing. He got just enough for Mix and Mac to eke out this victory and put Courts in his place.
A win is a win by 0.2 points.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, Mix and Mac eked out the victory 123.72 points to 123.52 points. This has to be up there, Courts, with one of the worst losses. Although, it wasn't on a last ditch effort or a fumble from your quarterback or interception at the end of the game, but it's got to be up there. You lose by 0.2 points in the last game of the week.
Yeah, those losses are the worst.
Devastating.
Oh,
yeah, but so Mix and Mac had Joe Mixon, the namesake of the Mix and Mac's team. He had 39.1 fantasy points. He also had Joe Mixon, though. Let's talk about that for a second. Joe Mixon, after being awful the first 3 weeks, finally gets his 3 touchdowns. He was a beast. He looked so good, and the thing is, he's been getting all of that work, and I should have definitely tried to trade for him because he's one of those candidates like where he was getting all the work and he's a good player, but he just wasn't getting those fantasy numbers, and what's going to happen. Especially because I think the second half of his season is really easy. Like he's got a really easy second half. So like Joe Mixon is the guy. Like even if you're having a rough time, maybe not doing so hot at the beginning of the year, you got to hang on to him because he's going to put up numbers because he's getting the volume, he's getting the work. So he had 39.1 fantasy points.
If he only got 38.1, it wouldn't have been a win. So
you're right. Yeah, every single point of a point counts.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that belief stood out for This is Neil's team still, right? Mixon Max still Neil. Yeah, it stood out for Neil this week. So
it did. Lamar Jackson finally is kind of living up to his name with 25.02 fantasy points. That's okay. It's good. He hasn't been playing great this year though, so he hasn't been putting up those monster weeks. But he's got the rushing floor, so he's never too bad. But the heat is what it is. It was enough. And then his duds category, everybody else was kind of average games in the high single digits, low teens kind of deal. MVS had 6.5 fantasy points, like I talked about before.
Yep.
On Kortz's team, he had Josh Allen putting up 25.42 fantasy points, and he's been solid this year. He's been a very solid quarterback one.
Absolutely. Yep.
We have OBJ going back to the New York Giants form here, 35.9 fantasy points, despite the fact that his quarterback had an awful day.
Yeah, I was really unhappy about that watching that game. After OBJ leaving the Giants, my thought process, of course, was we don't have to face him twice a year anymore. But of course, he comes back, plays Dallas, and he goes off.
Dallas. There you go.
It's painful. Man, you forget how good some of these guys are. Someone like OBJ, right? You don't watch him for a couple of years, and you kind of forget how good he is, and then you come back and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. That's why he's so good.
Especially how he's played the last couple of years. It's just not been good. So him finally putting up his 3 touchdowns, that's what made it a game.
Seems like an organizational change for the Browns, which is a good thing. I think a Browns team is good for the NFL as a whole.
So he had a long rushing touchdown. He had a touchdown catch from Jarvis Landry on a bomb. Jarvis Landry threw it like, I don't know how long, like 55 yards or something crazy. 50 yards. I don't know. It was nuts. He threw it, and it was a dart, man. And then he also had a receiving touchdown from Baker. But, he's looking like an old OBJ form, so we'll see if he keeps it up.
Just got to make sure you keep him away from the kicking nets.
Yeah. And then Jerick McKinnon was the last stud on Kortz's team. I'm just gonna call you Kortz's team because the changing names every week. Obviously, you're not gonna win this year because we won't know which name to put on the championship trophy.
Well, it has to be whatever name he started the year with. So it would just be the same
Scary
thing.
Terry's. Oh man, with a different owner name underneath.
That would be absolutely hilarious.
That'd be awful.
Yeah, that would be great. That's what I want. If Kortz wins this year, that's what I want on the trophy.
It's got to be the Scary Terry's.
It's got to be the Scary Terry's.
Oh God, but well, I hope his season goes like this week did for Mike Gesicki, who only had 2 fantasy points on his fantasy team. So unfortunately, if Mike Gesicki had gotten 2.3 points, you'd be looking at a W right now. But Mike Gesicki couldn't do it. So, all right, on to matchup number 4. We have Zerline, I never hit you. You're tearing me apart versus the Running Mayfields. Now, this was a barn burner. Let me tell you. The Running Mayfields won 83.0 points to 71.78 points.
Man, in a half PPR league, how are you? Come on, guys.
Not even breaking 90. Neither of you. Man, but the Running Mayfield. So I mean, he did have a couple of bright spots. So he had that's true. There are reasons that he didn't have a great game. He had a couple great weeks from Russell Wilson, who had 20.9 fantasy points. I mean, that's pretty good. for Russell Wilson, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
We have Mike Evans with 21.7 fantasy points. He's finally stepping up. He's getting away from his 1 and 2 yard touchdown passes or touchdown catches. And he also had the Eagles defense who put up 14 points, so that was pretty good. Unfortunately, he had more duds than he did studs this week, and that's why he only had 83 fantasy points. He had AJ Green with 0.8 points. Now that had nothing to do with injury or anything. That was just AJ Green retiring from fantasy football, I think. We had Austin Eckler, who we talked about, unfortunately got hurt. He had 1.9 fantasy points. Nick Chubb had 4.3 fantasy points. Both of those were bad luck. I mean, fortunately, you got the win this week, and maybe you can make some changes to kind of, do better next week. Yeah. But we also had Darrell Henderson, who had 4.3 points. So not so great, mainly due to injuries and a couple of bad starts. But overall, that's just – yeah, the W's a W. That's kind of how the fantasy season goes. So, rub some dirt on it and keep moving. Oh, wait, that's baseball. All right, teams Zerline never hit you. He had a single stud this week. My favorite, Aaron Rodgers, the GOAT. I think he's the GOAT. Yeah. He doesn't have the championships that Tom Brady does, but he's a better quarterback than Tom Brady.
You can't argue with 6 rings, man.
That's coaching.
Oh, yeah, that's it?
Yes, that's it.
That's all? Okay, all right.
If Aaron Rodgers – wait, all right. Let's put it the other way. If Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback of the Patriots, would they not have won 6 rings?
I think they would have won 6 rings.
Yeah, but I don't think the Packers would have won more with Tom Brady at the helm either.
I think there's an argument to be made, but just from a dedication standpoint, I think that's what puts Tom Brady at the place he's at. You don't get there by not caring. You get there by being Tom Brady, by putting the amount of time and work that he puts into football to do it. I hate him because he's too damn
Tom
good.
Brady. Yeah.
He's Tom Brady. You're required to, but you got to admire what he's done. Anyway,
that's
different
true.
Conversation.
No, entirely. I mean he definitely has done great things in football, but I think skill-wise,
on a pure
he's a better
talent basis. Yeah, I don't think I can argue with that. But on it, I think there's more to being the GOAT than just sheer talent.
I agree. But I also think that the reason that the Packers didn't win the Super Bowl all those years after 2010 is mainly due to defense and not due to offensive troubles. The last couple of years, I mean, Rodgers did get hurt 2 years, so that was also a problem. But anyways, we're getting off topic.
Very off topic.
Really matter. I think Aaron Rodgers is great, obviously, because
I do too. I mean, I'm not gonna argue with that. But
so Zerlina Never Hit You also had some amazing duds. Kenyon Drake, 3.5 fantasy points. He's been having a rough year. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like he was fantastic last year, and I don't know what happened. But maybe like we said, their offense just really isn't clicking. So maybe if it starts to click, he'll start doing better. We have Russell Gage with 3 fantasy points, 3 flat, 3.0. We have Logan Thomas with 1.3 fantasy points. I don't know why he's still in your starting lineup. I would find Robert Tonyan on the waiver wire. We also actually no, I think Robert Tonyan was picked up this week, so I think Adam has him now. Maybe trade for him with Adam. Adam will give you a good deal.
Have fun.
Yeah. Yep. He also had Julio Jones with 5.2 fantasy points, and we'll see if Julio can stay healthy going forward. I'm not sure, but moving on to matchup number 5, we have the Breeze Knees versus Terror Squad. Now lean back. So that's James's team name going on week number 2 here. And he pulled out the victory this week. He had 124.94 fantasy points versus the Breeze Knees 102.64 fantasy points. And he won even though the Steelers defense did not play this week. And he had him in the starting lineup.
It's all about those garbage defenses, as I said.
It has to be. Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Yeah. So Terror Squad, now lean back, had Patrick Mahomes with 20.24 fantasy points. Obviously a great game. Adam Thielen had 22.2 fantasy points. That was pretty good. Adam Thielen's been pretty solid this year. I think he's only had one of his four where was not so great, but he's been relatively consistent. He had Aaron Jones with 19.6 fantasy points, and he had Will Fuller with 19.8 fantasy points, and Kareem Hunt with 19.1 fantasy points. So he had a lot of those, 19-point range players. Looking pretty good for his team. They're pretty solid lineup.
When you have 5 players with about 20 points, I mean, you can deal with a 0 defense.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what he was able to do this week. Mm-hmm. And he had Zach Ertz putting up 4.9 fantasy points. Big man, the big dud. I'm very surprised at Zach Ertz's output this year. Although I really should, because I was low on him going into the year. He didn't have a great year last year, and I think he's just kind of hit his peak, and he's on his way back down here. But
yeah, I think Zach Ertz is a great tight end. I don't think he's a great fantasy tight end anymore.
Right, I agree.
Tight end's that kind of position where you can be really good at it, but not necessarily get
not for fantasy. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So Zach Ertz, even though he's like the only person on their team who can catch a football right now, he didn't do so hot. I think they literally only had one wide receiver on their roster last week.
Oh, you got to deal with what you got to deal with.
Yeah, everybody was injured, but Zach Ertz still didn't come through. So, I mean, that offense just doesn't look good without any passing options. So, Team Breeze knees, they're studs. He just had one above 19 points. That's kind of where I draw the line at 19 points for a stud.
I think it's a good line.
Yeah.
For most guys,
Yeah, he had Mike Davis at 19.6 fantasy points. And he's been a great replacement for CMC. Not quite like the ceiling, I don't think, of Christian McCaffrey, but like he's like 75% of it at least, and so he's been doing good. We also have in the duds category, we have Tyler Higbee, who besides that one game really hasn't done so much this year, and then Tyler Lockett with a surprising 4.9 fantasy points. So I'm sure Tyler Lockett will bounce back, especially with the way Russ has been playing.
Absolutely,
So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Just a down game. Now on to my favorite section of the week.
It's a great section.
I love this.
It's the best section. Yeah.
We're talking about all these people who you could have if you had just replaced your whole team with this team, you would have won. You would have won $10 from me this week.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Yeah, come on, guys. So we have at the QB position, we have Teddy Bridgewater, who is now on my team, who had 26.24 fantasy points. He has a great matchup against Atlanta this week. That's the only reason I picked him up, and I need somebody for Cam Newton. So
you'll get a bunch of points in the fourth quarter. Don't worry.
Exactly. Yeah, catching up after Atlanta puts up like 50 points on them.
Yeah.
We have at the running back position, we have Jamal Williams with 14.5 fantasy points and Reggie Bonifant with 14.1 fantasy points. So obviously Carolina did a great job with the running backs this week. I guess Teddy Bridgewater was just passing down to those running backs all day.
Whatever works.
It works. It works for Drew Brees. So, on the wide receiver position, we have Tim Patrick with 20.3 fantasy points. That was a surprise. The player for Denver, who I had never heard of before this week. So he had a great week. And then Traquan Smith had 19.4 fantasy points for the Saints. At the tight end position, we have Robert Tonyan, the big man, putting up 30.8 fantasy points. Did you see the one play that Robert Tonyan had that he was tackled by the Atlanta Falcons defense? Like when he was out running a route, he was tackled, and then he got up and kept running. And, well, no, he didn't have the ball. Like, he was knocked over when he was running the route. He got back up, and he got a touchdown catch from Aaron Rodgers.
I cannot say I saw that, but, man, that sounds like a tight end play.
He did like he got, like, his feet, like, got tripped up, and it was kind of like a tackle, and then he, like, rolled. He did the somersault, got back up, and,
very nice.
And kept going. In the flex position, we have David Moore for the Seattle Seahawks, who had 17 fantasy points. We have the Jets defense, who put up 8. Not a great waiver wire defensive week for sure. All the good defenses were picked up, which was good. And then Brandon McManus in the kicker slot putting up 18 fantasy points. This team would have put up 168.34 fantasy points. And the waiver wire is 3-1 for the year.
What was the waiver wire last year? Do you know at the end of the year?
No,
or did we only do it
I
for
didn't
part of the
keep
year?
track.
Okay.
Oh, well, no, we did this for most of the year, but
okay.
yeah, I didn't keep track of the,
well,
of the win-loss. I'm pretty sure all year last year they had a way higher score than what we had.
Yeah, they should.
So
that's how this should work.
Yeah, so it was. I was really surprised when Brandon beat him week 2, and that's why I started keeping track.
Keeping track of the actual numbers, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. But anyway, on to matchup predictions for next week. So last week, unfortunately, I did a horrible job at predicting these matchups. I was 2 for 5, and Adam did a great job. I got to give this to you. You went 4 for 5, and the only one you got wrong was your own matchup. So you should feel bad about that. But but I got to step up my game. So this week I'm facing against Rayo in this matchup prediction. So
let's go.
Do you have these matchup predictions pulled up and ready to go?
I do.
All right. So the first matchup is Feast Mode versus Terror Squad. Now lean back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you time to look it through real quick. I will take a shot at what I think is going to happen this week. Number one, I'm projected to win by about 9 points.
Yep.
I have Dalvin Cook against Seattle Seahawks, which I think is a great matchup. I have James Robinson against Houston, which I also think is a great matchup. And currently I have Robert Woods in the lineup, but I think I'm going to swap him out with Robbie Anderson, who's playing against Atlanta. So I might do the Teddy Bridgewater, Robbie Anderson stack. Mm-hmm. How great would that be, huh?
That would be pretty good, I will say.
And then Keenan Allen's been doing great with Justin Herbert at the helm. Mm-hmm. So I think I've got a pretty good matchups this week. And I think my team has a shot of winning this one.
I think your team definitely has a shot of winning this one, but I think we also know that I can't pick your team this week. It's not.
Any week.
It's not going to happen.
Oh, just this week. I'm sorry.
Just this week.
Just this week. Yeah,
Not next week. Just this week. Yeah, I think I believe in Patrick Mahomes' ability to put up some points, and I believe in Philadelphia's ability to completely screw this up and give Pittsburgh's defense a huge number there. So, I'm hoping that happens because when Philly screws up, I get to laugh and it's fun. But yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. These are good matchups for him as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think the projection is a little bit farther away than I would expect the game to actually end up at. So we'll see how that goes. Mm-hmm.
And actually, if you look at this is the averages that these teams. This is new this year. I don't know if you're looking on the computer or on your phone.
I'm looking on my phone.
But on the computer, so it has the projection. It has the projection, but it also has, I think, the averages that each player.
Oh, that's cool.
Gets this year. So his team average is 123.13 fantasy points, and mine's 137.75 fantasy
That's
points.
Pretty close.
For these players. Yeah, I mean, I think the weak point in his team is the running back core. Although he does have Kareem Hunt, who's probably going to be a beast this week because Nick Chubb is now out.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But, I mean, he's got Nyheim Hines and Devin Singletary as his second and third running backs. And then Will Fuller, I mean, he had a great game last week, but he's kind of a boomer bust sort of guy. So I think what we're really looking at in this matchup is I have the number 1 kicker and he is the number 2 kicker. So
I think that'll probably make the game.
We're looking for some booms this week from the kicker position, that's for sure. So you are.
And the Indies kicker has a good name. I like Blankenship.
Blankenship.
That's a good name.
That's a good name. I like that. I was considering picking him up this week, but I didn't end up grabbing him.
Just on name alone?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they're playing Cleveland, who usually gives up quite a few points. Mm-hmm. So instead of, for some reason, I picked. I don't know. I might have to swap from this. They're playing against Baltimore this week, so maybe not a great matchup for my kicker. I might just swap it again. But
do you actually look at kicker matchups?
Yeah, because I stream them. I just grab a new kicker each week, and you pick the team that's playing against, like the Cleveland or the Cincinnati or Las Vegas. Yeah,
Cleveland might screw you.
That's true. I mean, actually, Cleveland's been giving up a lot of points though.
To the kicker position. In general, yeah.
Number one to the kicker position. They give up the second most, or no. This is the player rank of the person, so never mind. I think they've been giving up points in general, quite a few points. So I mean, except for they lost to the Ravens. The Ravens put up 38. Bengals put up 30. Washington put up 20, and the Cowboys put up 38. So their defense hasn't been great, but they've also had a couple bad matchups. So, anyways, so you're going with James here. Terror squad, not lean back. All right.
Well, also, I have to disagree with you in a few places. Otherwise, we can't have a good matchup.
That's true, but you're going to go 0-1 with this matchup. So.
That's unlikely.
I told you I'm gonna get my fourth win in a row. So that's
not gonna happen.
It is. So the next matchup I have on the docket here is Mix and Mac versus Big Ben's Bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you a second to pull that up.
Yep. Where'd it go? I had it pulled up.
Yep. I'll start it off here. I think that Mix and Mac has a very good running back core in general. He's got Joe Mixon, who is now broken out. He has Jonathan Taylor. It's Joe Mixon's breakout year, by the way.
Oh, it is this year?
Yeah, this year.
Okay, all right, I got you.
Yep. Jonathan Taylor playing against Cleveland. Now Cleveland, like I said, they're giving up a lot of points, but I don't think they're giving it up on the ground as much. But Jonathan Taylor has been solid, and then he has James Conner in his flex. So James Conner's been playing pretty good. The only reason he's ranked 24th right now is because they had their bye last week. So I think his running back core is good. He's got Cooper Kupp manning the helm at the wide receiver position.
Mm-hmm.
His only weakness, I think, is Deebo Samuel. But I think that Neil's got this on lock. Big Ben's Bathroom, Chad's running backs are just they look sickly. Melvin Gordon's going up against New England this week. Joshua Kelly didn't really look that good this last week, so his wide receiver core might save him, but I think that Mix and Mac has got this victory.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. I believe in Dak Prescott's ability to put up stupid point totals and still lose, but I don't think the rest of his team is gonna be there. So.
Yeah, he's running that Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb stack.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, they've been putting up points.
It's possible, but I think Neil's kind of consistently gonna score higher across the board, So.
Yeah, and I think if Darren Waller plays this week, I think Kansas City's got a good defense, but they need Darren Waller, or else their offense doesn't go anywhere. So I think that they're going to put up some points this week.
Yep.
All right, so we are 1-1 as far as opposing each other.
Yep.
Matchup number 3, I have your matchup, Good Juju versus the Running Mayfields. Now, unfortunately, Unfortunately, I put in this docket that I think that your team's going to win. And it's mainly because I would normally go against you just this week, but we have a Nick Chubb and an Austin Eckler on the injury report, so I don't think that his team's going to be able to keep up. He's got to start AJ Green, who I think, like I said, is not going to be fantasy relevant the rest of this year, because we got other people stepping up in Cincinnati, just like your Tyler Boyd there. So I think Tyler Boyd's going to outscore AJ Green. I think Kyler Murray, he's not going to outscore Russell Wilson, but the rest of your team will make up for that. So Alvin Kamara taking down. I bet Alvin Kamara outscores both of his running backs combined.
I think that's harsh, but wouldn't be surprising. So. I have a question for you on this. Has anyone ever picked against themselves on the podcast?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I'm going to have to agree with you here and pick myself here.
Yeah. No, I think everybody's been at least projecting some sort of confidence in their team each week. They got to talk some trash. So if you don't have confidence in your team, you just gotta
you got to support your players. Otherwise, you'll lose the locker room, and then it's all downhill from there.
Exactly. Did you see? Yeah, I sent all of you guys that the tweet from Marcos Valdes-Scantling before the Packers game on Monday?
I don't think I saw it. Well, I probably saw it. I do not remember it.
It was so funny. He was like, for those of you who are DMing me about fantasy football, I can reassure you, I don't care. I was like, why the heck are you DMing players about fantasy football? Like, I don't know. It just annoys them. I mean, some of them are down for it, but like the vast majority are like they're not going to play better because your fantasy week is relying on how they do this week.
Hey, that's for sure. I mean, how do they? What I gotta wonder here is how many DMs do they get to begin with? It's got to be tons, right?
Yeah.
And then do they even like sort through that? Do you go, all right? Well, I have all of these for fantasy football. I'm just gonna throw these out right now.
I have no idea.
I don't know how you deal with that.
I guess you don't know until you're famous.
Yeah, I guess so. All right.
How that all works, but
yeah.
I can't imagine having a social media account that gets like thousands upon thousands of messages a day.
Then
I would just be sitting there, like what the heck?
You'd have to leave like the red bubble there, and that would just suck.
Yeah, that would be awful.
Annoying all the time.
I'm sure you just turn off notifications.
That's a good point. Yep.
So. All right, now that one is in the bag, I think you've got this one on lock this week. We're moving on to matchup number 4. We have Zerline, I'll never hit you, versus my tight end Ertz when I furt. So, man, this is a lopsided projection here. But not super surprising.
Yeah. Let me see this.
But
I hasn't been putting up big points. Has not been putting up big points this year. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at on the screen here. It has those averages again.
Oh, let me.
So his projection is 98.2 points, but his team average is 85.1 points.
Oh no.
He has the Cowboys defense in this week who are averaging negative 3.5 fantasy points.
Oh no.
But they're playing against the Giants, so that's why.
Yeah, there's that. All right,
that's why
where the hell is this? I'm trying to get this pulled up on a computer screen.
Yeah, so if you go to like your team,
and
then you just click up your matchup for this week.
Yeah, that'll.
And then on top it has the box scores for all the games. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it has like the projection in the middle. Yeah, it's nice. They've upgraded it this year.
This is very nice. Yeah, NFL fantasy went backwards this year. It's absolutely garbage. It is horrible, man.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, you know how I was talking about, like, I thought it was kind of neat how Sleeper was, for our draft and stuff. It's kind of a unique platform for drafting. But like, I'm in a league on Sleeper, and it's just like it's awful. It's way worse than like. I mean, I like Sleeper, and I think the reason that it's not so great is that they have a small
development team probably.
Yeah, development. Yeah, they have a small dev team, and so I think they grew a lot from last year to this year. They have enormous growth, and so they've been having a lot of troubles with their platform this year.
Yeah, that's believable.
It's just not up to the hype of all the big names like Yahoo and ESPN. So maybe I'm sure it'll improve as they get more people, but like you were saying, I think ESPN is up there with Yahoo. I think I've heard is also really good. Yeah. So
ESPN, from what we've used it, I think they do a good job for what we need. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, NFL went backwards. I don't know why they made it worse, but whatever. Yeah, it's just so.
Yeah, bad. I was in a league there last year, but I'm not in one this year.
Good for you.
The only thing I use it for, it's really nice. So my league is still active, kind of, but not like I go into NFL Fantasy app and I can watch like not Monday Night Football, but like Thursday Night Football on my phone, or like certain games from like each slot.
I think you can do that through the general NFL app too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have like the rights to distribute whatever, to
certain I think they do basically whatever games you would get locally is what they show for you, which is really nice. So they not have to be at a TV to watch everything.
Exactly, yeah. You could be doing something else and kind of have that on your phone.
Yep.
But anyways, on to this matchup. So,
unrelated, yeah.
Yeah, unrelated. I think my tight end Ertz when Eifert kind of has this one on lock. You need to get somebody other than Logan Thomas in the tight end slot here. I don't think Logan Thomas is doing you any favors. Lev Bell could come back and have a good game against Arizona. Unfortunately, he's still playing under Adam Gase, so there's that.
How he still has a job is
it's beyond me, man.
Doesn't make any sense.
I really don't. I don't understand how Bill O'Brien. I mean, Bill O'Brien obviously is not a great coach or GM either, but maybe he was no, he wasn't a good GM either.
No, he was not.
But Adam Gase should have lost his job before he did.
Yeah, it's like
that's for sure.
It's like you look at this and you go, if I was this awful at my job, I would get fired.
Would I have a job?
No, yeah, exactly. I absolutely would not. They're measuring sticks for every job. The measuring stick for being an NFL coach is winning, and that is not happening.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah.
And it hasn't happened for Adam Gase in any organization he's been in.
All right, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess we've seen bizarre behavior from NFL owners before. Yeah. I remember, the Browns kept their coach after an 0-16 season, which was baffling.
Crazy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he got fired like a few weeks into the next season.
But still, I mean, how do you make that decision?
You
have a historically bad season.
Yeah.
And you keep the coach.
I don't know.
It's unreasonable.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So anyway, I think, I mean, unless Kenyon Drake really turns it around here, Antonio Gibson has been having some good games, but they have a rough time against the Rams. And actually, they're now starting Josh Allen as their quarterback instead of not Antonio Gibson. Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins is no longer their quarterback, and he's not even their backup quarterback.
Wait, who's their starting quarterback now?
Dwayne Haskins was their starting quarterback. Now it's Kyle Allen.
Okay, all right. You said Josh Allen, and I was saying...
Oh, did I? I'm sorry. Kyle Allen, who played for the Panthers last year.
Okay, all right.
He came in when Cam Newton got hurt last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I'm sorry. Kyle Allen, not Josh Allen.
Yeah,
yes, very different. So Kyle Allen is starting, and I'm pretty sure Dwayne Haskins is not even going to be active for this game because Alex Smith is the backup quarterback in this game. The corpse of Alex Smith, I guess.
Again, obviously, there are standards in the NFL. The standard is winning. Apparently, that doesn't apply to to Gase. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But so Antonio Gibson might have a good game, but it's against the Rams, so that's kind of tough. Amari Cooper's been great.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae Parker, I think, has been picking it up, but they're playing against San Francisco, so we'll see how that defense is this week. But overall, I don't think that this team necessarily has huge upside this week, and I think that is reflected in the projection.
Yep.
I think that Aaron just has a great team as long as he doesn't have to put in any subs.
Mm-hmm.
He has a fantastic team, so I'm going to take him in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one. I think there's just not enough to make an argument against that.
I think Benaya should start tanking for next year's number one overall
lottery
draft pick. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So think about that, but don't think.
Benaya, remember. This is for you.
Exactly.
We're giving you great advice. We promise.
Great advice. Tanking is not allowed. If you tank, I'm gonna give you wins.
If you tank, you get
to the detriment of people that are competing for the number one spot in my division.
I'll talk to Benaya on download, and we'll get something figured out here.
There you go.
Got to make sure that Jason doesn't become the highest scorer.
All right, on to matchup number 5. The Breeze Knees versus Last and Fab Tiebreak again, or whatever he happens to name his team this week.
Wait. 1 second. He's dropped an A out of his name.
Well, I think he just
doesn't have
misspelled
space.
it. Yeah, or maybe that's it. Maybe there's not enough space, or maybe he just misspelled it. But
awesome.
Fab does have 2 A's, of course, just in case you didn't know.
Yeah, I guess I was confused because you had 2 A's in your document, so I assumed it was that way. But I guess Andrew didn't do it.
No, yeah, I guess I typed it correctly. I didn't type the title.
Of course.
I typed it correctly.
Of course.
So, yeah, I think he's got major advantage at the quarterback position with Josh Allen here. But I think, and it's projected or reflected in the projections, I think he's pretty much got the advantage in every other position besides maybe tight end. I actually like Dalton Schultz better than Jimmy Graham this week and every week because Jimmy Graham sucks. He sucks now. He used to be good. He sucks for fantasy. He might be a good tight end. But Dalton Schultz has been putting up some good numbers with that.
He has
with that Dallas offense. So,
mm-hmm.
And actually, after I look about it, I don't know who did I pick to win this game. Oh, I guess I did pick the Breeze Knees, and they do have some pretty good matchups. He's got David Johnson against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's a good salve to what David Johnson's been dealing with the last couple of weeks. Tyler Lockett's against Minnesota. That's a smash. Like, he might be the wide receiver 1 this week. I don't know. He's got the number 144 ranked wide receiver in his lineup this week.
Don't ask questions. Just let Adam do what Adam does.
It's Michael Thomas, so I guess it's okay.
We'll just let Adam do what Adam does.
Yeah, and sometimes it works. But yeah, I think his team's got some good matchups this week, and I think he's just got the better overall players. I think Courts is kind of lacking in the running back room. He's got Miles Sanders against Pittsburgh, so that's a rough matchup for your main running back. And then he's got Jerick McKinnon, who's got a good matchup in Miami. But if Raheem Mostert's back, I feel like that might put a hamper on Jerick McKinnon's day. He does have Raheem Mostert on his team, but I think if Raheem Mostert's back, they'll kind of eat into each other's workload. So we'll see what Jerick McKinnon ends up doing this week. But DJ Moore really hasn't been producing, but the Atlanta defense might be a sell for that. I don't know. I mean, he's actually got some decent matchups too, and he's got his team's got some upside with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs stack. Dalton Schultz has been putting up some good games. Terry McLaurin is kind of the only wide receiver you can trust on the Washington Redskins. And who knows if maybe Kyle Allen will kind of hyper target him. We don't know, but I still think that Adams kind of got the edge in this matchup.
Yeah, I think similar to your matchup, I think ESPN has projected this farther apart than it's going to be.
I agree.
I feel like both of them have pretty solid teams, and they have pretty solid matchups, so they'll end up in pretty good shape. I think partially to make this fun, and partially because I think it's almost a toss-up here. I'm going to disagree with you on this one, so we can basically so I can win by both of my disagreements being accurate.
We'll see if that happens.
Oh no, it'll happen. One of them's definitely gonna happen because I know you're gonna lose.
And so Courts is gonna lose, is what you're saying, or Courts is gonna win. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Courts is gonna win. I'm disagreeing with you.
But I'm gonna win. So
no, but you're not.
Well, do you have any? That's all I got on the docket here. Do you have any questions or comments or concerns at the end of this podcast, or?
No, I think I'm good. I think as I asked in the chat, if anyone has suggestions on who I should be a fan of, since Dallas just falls apart every week and it's painful, I'll take those suggestions.
I think the Packers is a good choice.
I think I should just become a Browns fan at this point. I think everyone.
You hate the Packers though, because you're a Cowboys fan.
No, I don't really hate them.
No,
I hate the refs more than I hate the Packers. So I think everyone kind of has an inner Browns fan inside them because every
underdog.
The Browns. Every time the Browns are doing well, everyone is just happier. So I think I'm gonna cheer for the Browns a little bit more than usual this year. Hopefully.
Because they have OBJ or
no, just in general, just because of the Browns. I'm too depressed watching the Cowboys put up 38 points and lose.
Right.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, I'm so glad that I was able to have you on, Rayo, and I'm glad. Unfortunately, we only play once this year, so you're only going to be on here this one time, and I think you made the most of it.
I think so.
I'm glad you made it on. Maybe we'll see if we can get a larger group on, maybe for the championship or after the game, or I don't know, something. We'll see what's going on. But yeah, no, I'm so glad that you came on, and I'm looking forward to this week of matchups.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna beat you in these predictions because
that's an inaccurate statement.
I'm gonna win this week.
Questionable.
So that puts you down one right off the bat. So
questionable.
So we'll see how it goes. But
mm-hmm.
all of y'all, I hope you have a great week. Enjoy fantasy football this weekend. Hopefully it happens and COVID doesn't shut everything down. So.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to catching you guys next week on the Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League podcast. I'll catch you guys later.